The region of central Texas is known for its peaceful rivers, its sweeping hill country, and the timeless joy of summer camps, places where generations gather under wide skies and starlit nights. It's a landscape that invites peace, where children grow up with bare feet on warm grass, the smell of sunscreen in the air, and the sounds of laughter echoing over clear, still lakes. These are places built not just for recreation, but for memories, the kind you carry for a lifetime. But on July 4th, 2025, that picture was shattered. What was meant to be a weekend of fireworks, barbecues, and celebration became the backdrop for one of the most devastating natural disasters in Texas history. A storm system, intensified by days of torrential rain, transformed rivers into raging torrents. Dams buckled, roads vanished, campsites were swallowed whole. In just a few short hours, tranquility gave way to terror. The laughter stopped. The skies, once bright with fireworks, turned black. And everywhere you looked, serenity had been engulfed in chaos. Tents collapsed under floodwaters. Buses were swept from roads. Families were separated in panic. By nightfall, entire towns were underwater, and the sound of sirens replaced the songs of summer. But this is not just a story of destruction. This is a story of what was lost and of what was found in the aftermath, of the strength that rose from the wreckage, of the hands that reached out across floodwaters, of the moments, quiet and small, when humanity reappeared, mud-soaked but unbroken, the flood that changed everything. Central Texas was gripped by an odd weather pattern on the evening of July 4th, which lasted for several hours. The system unleashed rainfall that had never been seen before, and it was fueled by moisture from the Gulf of Mexico and confined by upper-level winds. The Guadalupe, San Gabriel, Blanco, Llano, and Pedernales rivers, which are all well known for their recreational potential, swelled at an alarming rate. Communities did not have enough time to get ready. Over the course of just 12 hours, rivers surged by more than 30 feet, causing levees to be breached, homes to be consumed, and entire cities to be transformed into inland seas. Heartbreak was centered around Camp Mystic, a summer camp that was exclusively for girls and had a history that spanned several decades. It was supposed to be a night filled with songs and joy, but it turned out to be a nightmare. It took so much time for water to overwhelm the campgrounds that the foundations of the cottages were completely pulled away. Numerous campers, some of whom were as young as 7 years old, were separated from their communities. Communication was unsuccessful. Roads had been removed. For a number of hours, emergency responders were unable to pass through. There were text messages sent to families that included phrases such as "I love you" and "we're trying to get to higher ground." Those were the final words that many people would ever hear from their loved ones about their demise. Families in their entirety gathered in the gymnasiums of the schools, waiting for their names to be called, and also praying for reunions that did not take place. The destruction was just as severe in the neighboring towns of Hunt, Kerrville, and Wimberley as it was at the original location. In a matter of seconds, homes, schools, and churches that had been passed down through generations were destroyed. Someone who lives in the area stated that they were unable to even see the camp anymore. The phrase "just water everywhere" stayed in mourning. According to the official count, the number of fatalities had already topped 70 before the 6th of July. Despite the fact that rescue activities were still ongoing, many regions remained cut off from the rest of the world. During this period, helicopters hovered over rooftops as boats navigated through places that were completely immersed in water. Whether they had spent their childhoods at Camp Mystic or in the neighborhoods that are now submerged in water, the mourning was a profound and personal experience for persons who had grown up in the area. This was true regardless of whether they had spent their childhoods in the area. An assortment of vigils were conducted at various locations across the state. As a method of demonstrating reverence, bells were rung in churches. In addition to laying flowers and candles outside the camp gates, individuals also left inscriptions such as "Forever in Our Circle" and "River Angels." River Angels, as schools, churches, and other community buildings opened their doors to the general public. Emergency shelters also opened their doors. There were thousands of people who volunteered their time to help in the cities of San Antonio and Austin by donating goods. People who were in need received food, clothing, and water from local businesses that were located in the neighborhood. The Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, the American Red Cross, and the Texas National Guard were the organizations that were in charge of managing the initial phase of a massive response. Despite this, it was not enough to lessen the emotional toll that was being taken. The entirety of the state was in a state of sorrow, not only because of the lives that had been killed, but also because of the sense of communal safety that had been ripped away overnight when the tragedy occurred. The President of the United States made the following statement while he was addressing the nation. "Texas is strong, but it's also hurting. Our assistance is at their disposal. We are not going to be able to stop working until they have completely recovered." Celebrities speak out. As images of devastation spread, the national spotlight turned to Texas, and with it came an outpouring of support from around the world. Shakira's emotional dedication. On July 5th, just a day after the worst of the flooding, Shakira performed at the Alamodome in San Antonio. The concert, initially meant to be a celebration of her global tour, quickly transformed into something far more poignant. Midway through her set, she paused, visibly moved. "Tonight is not just a concert," she told the crowd. "It's a tribute. Our hearts are with you, Texas." The arena, filled with tens of thousands of fans, erupted in applause, some cheering, many in tears. Shakira then dedicated the entire performance to the victims of the flood, performing "Try Everything" and "Underneath Your Clothes" with an emotional intensity that left a deep impression. She also announced that a portion of her tour profits would be donated to Catholic Charities of San Antonio, an organization already mobilizing on the ground. Her donation directly supported rapid response efforts, temporary housing, and food relief for hundreds of displaced families. Within days, mobile clinics, shelter tents, and food trucks were operating in hard-hit neighborhoods, many thanks to her contribution. McConaughey's Texas roots. Matthew McConaughey, a proud native of Uvalde, was one of the first high-profile figures to respond. He posted a heartfelt message on Instagram and X, formerly Twitter, standing on the porch of his family home. "Texans are the most resilient and generous people on the planet," he said. "Right now, it's time to show it." He launched the Just Keep Livin' Texas Relief Fund, calling on fellow celebrities, corporations, and everyday Americans to give what they could. The response was overwhelming. In just 72 hours, the fund raised over $4 million, helping kickstart long-term rebuilding projects, including the repair of public schools, mental health support centers, and community food banks. Other stars react. The response from the entertainment world was swift and heartfelt. Hilary Duff, reflecting on her childhood summers at Girl Scout camps near the affected areas, posted a tearful video. "I'm gutted. My heart is with those girls, those families. I know those trails. I know those creeks. I can't imagine the fear they felt." Eva Longoria, who grew up near Corpus Christi, shared old family photos of her childhood neighborhood, now submerged. "This is personal. These are my people," she wrote, urging her followers to donate and share verified fundraisers. Khloe Kardashian took to Instagram stories writing, "My heart is aching for the children, for the mothers, for the state I love. Texas has always shown up. Let's show up for them." A global chorus of solidarity. Other international stars soon joined in. Billie Eilish, Lana Del Rey, and Bad Bunny shared donation links and urged their fans to contribute. BTS's RM posted a message of solidarity in both Korean and English, donating privately to the Red Cross. Coldplay paused their set in Berlin to dedicate Fix You to Texas flood victims, displaying the Lone Star flag on screen as thousands held their phones in the air. Social media became a digital lifeline. Artists and influencers worldwide, many with no direct ties to Texas, used their platforms to drive awareness. In a matter of days, fan campaigns, charity live streams, and fundraising auctions sprang up across continents, raising millions in aid, often faster and more effectively than official appeals. From tragedy to unity. What began as a tragedy sparked a powerful wave of compassion and connection. As Texas began the slow, painful process of rebuilding, the messages, donations, and tributes reminded survivors that they were not alone. In the words of one shelter volunteer outside San Antonio, "We lost a lot, but knowing the world is standing with us, that gives us the strength to keep going." And in the face of devastation, music, memory, and unity turned grief into a chorus of hope. What could possibly happen next? Stay tuned. We're about to reveal some unexpected gems that will captivate your imagination, so make sure you stick to the end. But before continuing in this video, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe to never miss out any updates. On this page, we will show different stories about celebrities. Now let's get started. The king of country steps up. George Strait, a legendary figure in Texas and beyond, made headlines when he discreetly contributed $3.5 million to the relief efforts for the flood victims. There was no press conference that he called for. The statement was not posted by him. Reconstruction activities in schools, community centers, and trauma treatment programs quickly received the money, which were immediately allocated to those organizations. His contribution provided a major boost to the mental health services that were provided to youngsters who were impacted by the calamity that occurred at Camp Mystic. The gesture that he made was not overlooked. Fans and musicians alike lauded him, not for the quantity of his work, but for the sincerity with which he approached it. A supporter made the observation that he didn't have to say anything. Just now he gave, someone who is truly a Texan. Sports and star power unite. Rapid action was taken by the sporting community. Former rivals, the Dallas Cowboys and the Houston Texans, have joined forces to form a new team. $1.5 million was provided by them collectively to emergency shelter and food programs located throughout Central Texas. The Cowboys cheerleaders took the initiative to establish their own campaign, which resulted in the collection of an additional $500,000 through the sale of items and appearances on television. They performed for those who had been affected by the flood and assisted in the distribution of goods. In response to the tragic loss of so many young lives, WWE wrestler Bayley made the announcement that she would be auctioning off her forthcoming SummerSlam apparel, which was custom designed with Camp Mystic's colors shown prominently. In a span of less than 2 days, the amount of money raised by fans exceeded $100,000. The message that this was not only a local tragedy, but rather a national one, was amplified by athletes from all different styles of sports. Also, they were prepared to lend a hand. Community power plus global support. However, the average Texans were the true driving force behind the recovery, despite the fact that the celebrity efforts were significant. Donation centers were established in corner businesses all the way from Austin to Amarillo by individuals. Fundraising events were arranged by teenagers both online and on foot. The hay and animal trailers that were loaded with supplies were driven into areas that were flooded by ranchers. All around the country, and even from other countries, people volunteered their time to help out. In order to assist with the cleanup, a group of people from Alaska traveled over 4,000 miles. Medics from all around the world, including those from Canada, have arrived. Mexican church groups brought both food and clothing to the United States. In public, the Pope extended prayers for the state of Texas. Obama and Bush, both of whom had previously served as president, made a rare joint statement in which they called for national unity in the face of the calamity. As soon as a major disaster declaration was made, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, began providing assistance to displaced families. This assistance included emergency funding, mobile units, and long-term support. One of the most profound truths that came from the flooding was that when Texas is in pain, the entire globe reacts. The state of Texas was watched by people all around the world, from athletics to ordinary heroes, from country legends to pop artists from throughout the world. It was discovered, when it comes to donations, prayers are being offered, while working beneath the scorching heat of the Texas sun. Unlike previous news stories, this one was not simple. These are legitimate individuals, family units that are real. Actual lives were altered irrevocably. And yet, even in the midst of the devastation, there remained hope. Parents were reunited with their children. There were reconstructed churches. Once more, songs were sung at camps, but this time they were sung in recollection. There is a long way to go before healing. On the other hand, it is paved with the power of a state that is adamant about not being shattered. Do you wish to assist? There are links to verified donation options accessible at the conclusion of this article. Please tell this story. Give your neighbors your support. take the side of Texas. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.